Hi friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Daysi DIY. Today I'm sharing with you guys my favorite Christmas DIYs. I hope you enjoy. If you do, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Thank you so much. For the first project, I'm going to be using 3 pieces of this cardboard that I had on hand, and I'm just going to be creating like cones so we can create this beautiful Christmas tree. I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue this remaining part, and once I was done with my scissors, I just cut the bottom part so it can stand up our Christmas tree. I'm going to be using these yarns that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be using this color. You guys can use the colors of your preference. So I just put a little bit of hot glue to glue first the top part. I just start wrapping it around on the piece of cardboard, and I just use a little bit of hot glue just in a few parts so we can hold the yarn. Once I reach the bottom part, I just use a little bit of hot glue to glue the remaining piece of the yarn, and with my scissors I just cut the remaining piece, and I just make sure that it stand up straight my tree. I'm going to be using these Christmas fillers that I got from Dollar Tree last year, and I'm just going to grab a few pieces to place it on the tree. And I did the same step with the other 2 trees, and this is how it looks our project once we're done. They turned out really beautiful. I love the colors, how they blend together. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? For our next DIY, I'm going to be using 3 pieces of that cardboard that I had on hand. I just want to create this beautiful church. I want to use this wood house that I got from Dollar Tree. I know that sometimes it's pretty hard to get the things that we show you in the video from your Dollar Tree. In my Dollar Tree, all the time it happens too that I don't get the same things that all these talented friends they always shows in their video, because my Dollar Tree, they don't have that many beautiful decor pieces, or sometimes they do have them. So I just marked the wood house and I just use my scissors to cut it. I'm going to be using this piece of wood that I had on hand. I just found this piece of wood one day that I was going to my Dollar Tree, and there were like few pieces of furniture that they were giving away, and there were big pieces. So the only thing that I grabbed, it was just this piece, because the pieces of furniture, they were too big, and to be honest, I don't have a space in my house for those big pieces. To paint it, I'm using the Restore Chalk paint on color white. I did 1 coat and I just let it dry. I just used the same paint to paint the 3 pieces of the cardboard, and I did the same technique to put a little bit of a candle all over, and it worked really amazing on the piece of cardboard because it didn't cover it all the way because of the wax of the candle. It looks amazing, this piece of cardboard, so I really highly recommend it to use that technique on a piece of cardboard. Once they're completely dry, I just grab another piece of tape and I just place it on the top, and I'm just showing you how easy it was to remove the paint because it's just like cardboard, but it gives this beautiful effect that it's like wood. I just tried to create this door and the windows. First, I just start using my pencil to trace it. In the middle, I just used the Waverly anti-wax to paint it. I didn't like it very well, so on the end, I just grabbed a piece of this adhesive cord sheet that I got from Dollar Tree, and I just cut it to the side that I want my door and also the windows, and I just placed them. I just grabbed my sign and I decided to create lines. I just did 3 lines, and once I was done marking my lines, I always love to mark the lines twice so they can be a little bit dark, because once they're a little bit dark, it's more easy to distress the lines. And here's the part where I show you that I use the craft square adhesive cord sheet, and I just peeled up the sticker. I didn't use any hot glue to place them, but if you guys want, you guys can use. And to have this 3D effect, I decided to grab a few pieces of these craft sticks that I got from Dollar Tree, and I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue it. And once I was done, I just placed all the pieces together. So for me, it was more easy just to place the 2 pieces in each side. And once I was done, I just placed the other piece in the middle so it can be centered. I just used hot glue to glue it, but if you guys want a strong hole, you guys can use E6000. I'm going to use another beautiful decal, and I just show you how I did step by step. I just placed my decal inside and I just hold it for 60 seconds, and once I was done, I just grabbed a little bit of the water and place it on the top of the sign so it can be a little bit more easy to place the decal. And once I placed it, I just go really slowly to remove the bottom part, and with a piece of paper towel I just went over in the top just to smooth a little bit if it has any bubbles, and also to dry it. And it was really amazing how it turned out once you place this beautiful decal. But please let me know, what do you guys think? I'm gonna be using one Christmas pick that I got from Walmart, and I'm just gonna be placing it on the side, and I just use a little bit of hot glue to glue it. For the next project, I'm going to be using a piece of cardboard that I had on hand, and what I did, I just cut it on the shape of the circle. If you guys want, you guys can use just a sign from a Dollar Tree. I know Dollar Tree is carrying now their amazing wood signs, and it will work just perfect. And to paint it, I'm using the Rust-Oleum chalk paint on color white. I did 1 coat and I just let it dry. So you guys can see what I did. I just paint this part on the middle of that piece of cardboard. The other parts, we're going to be using the craft wash chalkboard paint on color ink. I did 1 coat, and to cover the white part in the middle, I just grabbed 2 pieces of the painter's tape so we can have a really clean lines. And once we're done, we're just going to remove the 2 pieces of the painter's tape. I'm going to be using these stencils that I found at my Walmart. They're really beautiful. I just grabbed 2 pieces of the painter's tape so we can hold the stencil. And to paint the hat, I'm using the paint on color red that I got from Dollar Tree. First, I did 1 coat and I just let it dry for a little bit, and I went over and I did a 2nd coat. And to paint the letters, color that I'm using is the Waverly paint on color moss. I first went over and I did 1 coat, and it was a little bit light for me, so I decided to do another coat, and it turned out really beautiful because they were a little bit dark, the letters. And once we're done, we're just going to remove the 2 pieces of the painter's tape so we can remove this stencil. I decided to do a really thin line, and for that I just grabbed the two pieces of the painter's tape and I used the same color red that I used, and I just want to show you, you guys can create the lines or leave it without the lines, but I think that red lines and make it pop a little bit more the sign. And to distress the sign a little bit more, I just went with the same Bristol and chalk paint, and I just use a little bit of the paint, and once it's completely dry I went over with a piece of the sandpaper and to distress it a little bit more the sign. It turned out amazing. Once you do this, I love it because it shows a little bit more of the cardboard it's under, and it turned out like it's kind of like real wood. And I just create this beautiful bow and I just place it on the top, and I will show you in a minute how I create this beautiful bow. And also I just grabbed two pieces of these pine cones and another pieces just to place it in the middle, and I will show you in a minute. Also I just put a piece of jute twine all around of the piece of cardboard so it can has a finished look. I just create two side projects to give this effect of the snow. I just use the same paint and it turned out really beautiful once we give this effect of the snow. And this is how it looks, our beautiful sign once we're done. I love the colors, how they blend all together. But please, I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about this beautiful sign?
For our next DIY,
I'm gonna be using a few pieces of the cardboard and I just cut it on the shape of the tree. I just bend the piece of cardboard just a little bit to give more texture to the pieces, so once we paint it, it gives this effect that it's wood. I love the effect that it gives once you paint it. And I'm gonna do this beautiful technique that I love. I'm gonna be using that candle just to go all on the piece of cardboard. In the other videos that I show you this wonderful technique, I fall in love because once you paint it, it gives this wonderful effect, and you guys can just use a piece of tape to remove a little bit of the paint. But I didn't do it this time because just with all the bending on the cardboard we did, it turned out really amazing. And once we placed the wax of the candle, it was beautiful once I was painting it. And also I paint on the back of the piece of cardboard because once we place all the pieces together on the back, it's going to show that it's just a plain cardboard that we use. So I would recommend it to paint it on the back. I'm using this beautiful base that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just using the same paint to paint it. First I did one coat and I just let it dry, and once it was dry I went over with another coat so we can cover it all the way. And to distress it a little bit more, I just went over with the Waverly anti-wax so we can keep this effect. It's wood, and I went a little bit heavy with the anti-wax, so I just grabbed a piece of sandpaper and I just removed a little bit of the paint, and it worked amazing. We're gonna be using these wood letters that I got from Dollar Tree, and to paint it I'm using the Waverly anti-wax. I just did one coat and I just let it dry, and once they were completely dry I went over with the Waverly paint on color moss just to give a little bit of color on the letters. To me, it was just plain the color. I didn't like it. And I'm thinking right now too, I think it will look really beautiful on color black. I decided to distress the pieces with the same Waverly anti-wax so it can blend all together with the base and the letters. And I'm just using this Jute twine to give this more finish on the edges. So that's the reason why I decided to cover it. And I just went all around until I covered the whole piece. And I did the same step with all the other 4 pieces. So here comes the fun part to place all the pieces together, and for that I'm just using a few pieces of the jingle blocks so we can give this support on the back, and also just to give this effect that it's like 3D. I hope you guys can see. I just trying to put just the big piece, and once I place that big piece I want like the middle pieces, the small ones, and once I place them I'm like it turned out really beautiful. And once I was done, I want to put this beautiful garland all around. I should done that before I place all my pieces because it was a little bit hard to put it. So I just want to mention that if you guys want to put the beautiful garland all around, make sure to do it before you place all the pieces in the base. And I just want to say too, like the piece of jingle blocks, I wish I paint those on color white so it can blend all together. I'm gonna be placing the wood letters on the front part of the base, and I'm just using hot glue to glue it. You guys can use wood glue for a strong hold. And this is how it turned out, this beautiful piece. I love it. It gives this effect that it's like wood, the pieces of cardboard. If you guys love this brown color of the garland, you guys can leave it. But I was thinking too, I think it will look really beautiful to paint it on color white just to give that effect that it has a snow. I think it will look really beautiful too. Let me know what you guys think. Should I paint it?
For the next project,
I'm gonna be using the other side of the shadow box that we did in our first project. So I just cut the piece of cardboard at the side of the shadow box, and I'm just painting it with the Restore chalk paint, and I just did one coat, and I just placed the piece of cardboard. I just show you that I just put them inside. I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue the piece of cardboard. I just removed the hanger, and also I just covered the holes with some spackling. I'm gonna be using these Christmas pigs that I had on hand, and to give this effect that they have a snow, I'm just using the same Restore chalk paint. The next thing, we're going to be using another beautiful ornament that I got from Dollar General. I got it last year. Once I place my ornament, I'm going to be using hot glue to glue it in the middle. And once we're done, we're going to put the Christmas pig on that side. And also, I just create this beautiful bow and I'm going to place it on the other side. It was really simple to create this bow. The other thing that I need in the middle of the bow, I just used a few pieces of the berries and it was the touch that I need. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really gorgeous. I love this two-side project, but please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project?
For our next DIY,
I'm gonna be using this box that I had on hand. It's just a plain box and I think it's really beautiful. So to paint it, I'm using the Restylane chalkboard paint on color white. I did one coat and I just let it dry. Also, I decided to paint the edges so it can has a finished look. The next thing, I'm going to be using these wood stickers and I'm just going to be using these candy canes. And to paint it, I'm using the Restylane chalkboard paint on color white. I did one coat and I just let it dry. So this is how it looks once they're completely dry. So the next thing, I'm going to be using this apple barrel in color red to paint it. I'm going to guide from the lines that it had the wood stickers and I just did one coat and I just let it dry. Also, I did the same step with the other one. The next thing, I'm going to be using this Craftwise chalkboard paint on color ink and I'm just going to be painting inside of the bow and I just did one coat and I just let it dry. Also, with the same paint, I decided to distress the edges of the box and I'm just using this small brush that I got from Dollar Tree and also I'm just using my finger to distress it a little bit more. The other thing that I decided to do to create lines, so my box it measure 4 inches, so every inch I just mark my line and once I'm done I just connect the lines and once I was done connecting the line, to distress it I'm just using my finger. The next thing, I'm going to be using these stickers and I'm just going to be spelling the word 5 cents candy cane. So I'm just going to guide from the lines that we just create to put my letters and this is how it looks once you're done. So the other thing to create the cents, I just used the C and I just used the I and I just cut it on half the I so it can be a little bit short. So once I was done, I used a little bit of my Podge to seal the letters. I'm going to be using this diamond wrap and I just cut a small piece to put it right here in the middle. So once we're done, we're just going to place that 2 candy canes this way and I just used a little bit of hot glue. The other thing that I decided to do, I used a few pieces of the greenery and also this berry and I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue it. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. I think it turned out really beautiful. I just love it. If you guys don't have this box, I'm so sure that you can recreate this project with something from Dollar Tree.
for the next project,
I'm going to be using this word sign that I got from Dollar Tree and here's the item number if you guys need it. Also, I'm going to be using this Waverly chalk paint on color antique wax. I got it at Walmart. And to paint it, I'm going to be using a piece of this natural bud sponge that I got from Dollar Tree. So I'm just going to do one coat and I'm just going to let it dry. The next thing we're going to be using is going to be a frame. I'm going to be reusing this frame that I have on hand. So what I did, I just cut a piece of cardboard that I have. So I'm going to be using my ruler to mark my lines. So every 2 inches, I'm going to mark it with my pencil. Once I mark it, I'm just going to start connecting that line just like this. Once we're done creating all the lines, so we're just gonna start distressing it, and for that I'm just gonna use my finger. Also, I'm gonna be using this color pencil, and the color that we're gonna be using, it's color brown. So I'm just gonna mark the lines just like this. And this is how it looks once you're done. So now I'm going to be using the color black, and I'm just going to mark a little bit the lines again. I know in the video it doesn't show that much the difference, but in person it shows really beautiful, the color brown and black together. So once we're done, I'm going to start distressing it, the lines. And now we're just going to start putting our frame together. So once we put it together and everything, we're just going to use the word to put them on the top of the frame. And to glue it, I'm just going to use hot glue. But if you guys want a strong hold, I would recommend you guys to use wood glue. Also, I'm going to be using these lavender picks that I got from Walmart. So I'm just going to cut a few pieces, and I'm just going to place them on the frame just like this. To glue it, I'm just going to use hot glue. So I just want to show you, with any ribbon that you guys choose, it will look really pretty, but I decided to use this small ribbon. So to glue it, I'm just going to use hot glue. I decided to put some berries on the middle because it was missing something in the ribbon. So I'm just going to place 3 berries in the middle just like this. And to glue it, I'm just going to use hot glue. For our next DIY, I'm going to be using the other side of the piece of cardboard, and to paint it, I'm going to be using the Restore chalk paint on color white. I did 1 coat and I just let it dry, and I just want to show you the way that I painted. I didn't cover it all the way because I want the cardboard to show a little bit so we can give this effect that it's wood. The next thing we're doing, we're going to create lines, and for that I just grab my pencil and my ruler and I just create a few lines. I always love to mark my lines twice so they can be a little bit dark, and once we're done, we're just going to be distressing a little bit of the lines. I'm going to be using another beautiful stencil, and I just grabbed 2 pieces of the painter's tape so we can hold it in place. And to paint the letters, I'm using this beautiful color red, and I just did first 1 coat, and once it's a little bit dry, I went over and did a second coat so they can be a little bit dark, the color. And to paint the leaves, I used the Waverly paint on color moss. I did 1 coat, and to paint the berries, I used the same paint on color red, and I did 2 coats. And once we're done, we're just gonna remove the piece of painter's tape, and we're gonna remove the stencil. And once it's completely dry, I grab a piece of sandpaper and I just went over on the top to distress a little bit the letters and also all around the leaves. And I went over with a Waverly anti-wax just to distress it a little bit on the edges. I'm really sorry, I lost the footage. And here's the part where I show you that I grab one piece of this jute cord and I just place it all around so it can has a finished look. And once I was covering all around the sign with the remaining piece, I just tried to create like a hanger so we can hang this beautiful sign. And with my scissors, I just cut it, and with hot glue, I just hold it and place the other piece. It turned out really beautiful how we create this beautiful hanger. And here's the part where I'm gonna show you how I create this beautiful bow. I just grab this piece of burlap ribbon and I grab a piece of jute twine and I just wrap it so we can give the shape of the bow. And I grab another piece of ribbon and I just create a simple bow, and I just use hot glue to put the two pieces together, and it turned out really beautiful, the bow. And I did the same step with the other one because I create two side projects, and once we're done, I'm gonna be placing it on the top, and I just use a little bit of hot glue just to glue it. And I decide to use another beautiful pine cones to place it on the top, and I grab one piece of these red berries and I just place it in the middle. And to give this effect that they have is snow, I just use the same paint, and it turned out really beautiful once we give this effect of the snow. I love it. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really beautiful, this other side of the sign. But if you guys have a favorite, please let me know in the comments down below.
For our next DIY,
I'm gonna be using the other side of the box that I just showed you on the first project. So to paint it, I'm using the Restore chalkboard paint on color white. I did one coat and I just let it dry. So the next thing, I'm gonna create lines, and for that, my box and measure 4 inches. So every inch, I just mark my lines, and once I was done, I just connect the lines and I just mark the lines twice so they can be a little bit dark. And once I'm done creating the lines, I'm going to be using my finger to distress all the lines. I'm going to use a small piece of this gift wrap that I have on hand, and also I'm using this wood tree, and I'm just going to use it as a template to cut a few trees. And once I'm done, I'm just going to use my scissors to cut it. In total, I just cut 3 trees. And once I'm done cutting the trees, I'm just gonna place it in the bottom. Also, I'm using these stickers that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna guide from the lines that we just create to put our letters. I'm gonna be spelling the word Merry Christmas. So once I'm done, I'm gonna be using this Mod Podge. So I just did one coat and I just put the trees, and I did the same step with the other ones. And once I'm done, I'm just gonna be doing another coat of Mod Podge on the top so we can seal everything. Also, I'm gonna be using this ribbon that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna be creating a small bow. The other thing that I did with this diamond wrap, I just cut a small piece to put it right here in the middle of the bow, and I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue it. So the other thing, I'm gonna be using a few pieces of the greenery and also these fillers that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just gonna use a little bit of hot glue to glue everything. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. I think it turned out really beautiful, but please let me know in the comments down below, with all the projects that I create today, which one it was your favorite?
So that was it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, and please don't forget to hit the bell icon to be notified every time that I load new video. And please don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Thank you so much and have an amazing day.